afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the studios of Grafton Community Television. I have a guest in the studio, and she is one of our new volunteers here. Her name is Cadence Tucker. How are you?
Good.
Welcome. So I got 10 questions to ask you. But before we get into that, the topic of this discussion is that you want to volunteer here because you want to go into the film industry.
Yes.
Okay. So why don't you start? Why don't you tell us about yourself?
I'm 16. Not a whole lot. I've always loved movies ever since I was like a kid. That was a really big thing in my family. And I like just recently, kind of due to COVID, got into like filmmaking and thinking about that as a career. I'm a junior at Grafton High. Can't wait to go to college. But that's pretty much it.
Okay. Do you have a college in mind?
Yes, I would love to go to NYU. I haven't really been to New York though, so like New York's kind of the campus for NYU.
Mm-hmm.
So like cities kind of stress me out. But like that has really good programs and like a lot of people who, what's her name? Chloe, she directed No Man's Land. She just came out of NYU and I think she won an Oscar.
Okay.
So
NYU is the film school.
yeah.
All right, just making sure I got it. Because I think that, yeah, I think that's what I've heard. It is the film school. Okay, got it. All right, so I'm just going to fire 10 questions to you about filmmaking or your thoughts on film, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
All right, so the first one was, when did you know that you wanted to be in the film industry?
Probably, so when I was younger, it was like tradition in my family to go to Marvel movies on opening night. And so whenever I'd leave the movie theater, I always just, would get chills every single movie. And I think, I would never really say it out loud, but I always secretly wanted to be an actress. My anxiety quickly caught up to me, but I just love the idea of, bringing a character to life and bringing, a concept or this, thing on paper to real life, and because just seeing the connections that people made with those characters in those movies was something that really inspired me. So that's probably when I first thought about getting into film, but I never really thought of it actually happening. And then during COVID, I everything was so chaotic and in the present, so one thing that I did was focus on the future, and part of that future was figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. So I don't know when it was, but one day it just hit me that I could go into filmmaking, I could be a director. I'm pretty sure actually I was complaining about a movie ending, and someone told me well, why don't you be a director so that doesn't happen? And I think from then on I just it started becoming, instead of just a dream, more of a reality of something that I could actually get into. And a big thing for me is I don't want to have regrets when I'm older, or I'm going to try not to. And so I would hate to be looking back on it and just being well, what if I had? And so that's the main reason why.
Okay. So we've already covered one topic. Yes. You want to be behind the camera, not necessarily in front of the camera. Okay. Did you make any films as a child?
If you count stupid videos with my sister on Video Star, then yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody at one time in their life
has
made some type of,
iMovie, yep.
Yep. Or in my history, it would have been, the VHS tapes on the big deck. And okay. Because even my children have done it. I've done it. I know people older than me that have done it. Nobody ever pursues it as a career.
Oh, yeah.
But we've all done it. All right, so what's your favorite film?
Ooh, that's a good question.
See, that was the homework you were supposed to do. I'll figure out which one.
Oh, God. Okay. Oh, it changes so much.
I'll even take 2 or 3.
Okay. I love Moulin Rouge.
Okay.
That's probably my favorite musical.
Thank God I know what that is. All right.
Something that I watched recently that I really liked was Rain Man.
Mm-hmm.
I think the acting in that was really good. And
Rain Man?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, oh God, this is gonna hit me as soon as we end this.
No, it always does.
What else?
Well, let me ask the next question. In those 2 movies or any movie, do you have a favorite film character?
Yes. Not in those movies.
Okay, so who's your favorite film character?
But probably at least in the Marvel movies, because I watch those religiously. I definitely like Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I think especially for my age, it's someone that every single time I've watched those movies, I can always relate to it, and you kind of have a connection with that person. It's kind of like a comfort character.
Because Peter Parker is a teenager.
A teenager, and the one thing that I've always really admired is how well they write those characters, because they're people with these special abilities, but you see them struggle with actual real life issues, and having them go through anxiety or PTSD and stuff.
Right.
And not every storyteller and every filmmaker can reach that level of depth to a character. So I really appreciate that when people do that.
So if Peter Parker was here today, what would you ask him?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's why it's on the paper.
I would probably ask when you're at your lowest, or when things are the hardest for you, what is that one thing that can always help you and that always pulls you out of it? That would probably be my question.
Okay. And what film makes you sit down and watch it as soon as it appears on the TV screen? Like you're walking through the room and it's on TV and that's it. You stop and watch.
Okay, so the first thing that came to mind is kind of embarrassing.
We'll go ahead. We'll edit it out. We'll trim it out.
So my mom had Cars on. Okay. And for some reason, I was like a moth to a flame. I just had to sit and finish that whole movie. Okay. And that's kind of embarrassing, but
that was a one-off.
Yes.
What's the one movie that you know if it's on, it's just going to trap you?
Oh God. I probably actually Moulin Rouge.
Okay.
I don't know why, but
But it's on your list of favorites,
yep.
So it's...
Yeah.
Okay, makes perfect sense. Do you prefer to watch a film alone or with a room full of people?
It depends on the movie.
Okay.
I think...
So what do you want to watch alone?
Movies, the second time I watch a movie, I'd want to watch it alone.
Okay.
But the first time I watch a movie, especially one that has a lot of anticipation surrounding it, I always love seeing and feeling that energy in the theaters. When COVID was happening and we couldn't go into theaters and stuff, I really missed that, because seeing people's reactions and just feeling that when there's that big scene or that big plot twist, and hearing people's reactions, and just you can feel it in the theater, and that's why I like watching movies with other people. There are certain people that I won't watch movies with.
Right.
But especially I think, bringing it back to the Marvel movies, those have so much anticipation in them, and seeing that crowd, and just having feeling that energy that people have, especially during some of the big scenes that you remember for years after, and being able to say I saw that in theater and stuff is really cool.
So when you're not watching a movie with others and you're not enjoying watching their reactions or witnessing the excitement that they're witnessing, what do you get out of a movie when you watch it by yourself? Or what do you enjoy the most about watching it?
Probably the characters and the interaction. I think recently I've started appreciating the actual shots a little bit more, and seeing how the cinematographers and the directors frame certain things, because I think even just the way that what they show the audience tells a lot of the story. But normally I'm mostly paying attention to the characters and little just parts of what the actor's doing, and understanding the depth of the character more. But recently it's been more of the shots and the coloring of the film and stuff like that. So
do you enjoy watching documentaries?
Yes, it depends on the topic though. I think
that's true of anybody,
yeah.
though, right?
There was a time where I would watch Disney has a bunch of documentaries on Pixar and what it's working there. Yep. And I've watched all of those.
Yep. And those are very well made.
Yeah. I do watching some of the documentaries on animals and stuff. Those I really enjoy. I think that's mostly it though for documentaries.
All right. What type of films would you like to produce?
Ooh. Honestly, anything I can. Any story that I think is good and I think deserves to be told, I'd love to do. I think specifically, it'd probably have to be more of like, I guess a drama, but not in like a cheesy way. Like I love, like just like those movies that have a little bit of everything in them. Like they has some comedy and it has some drama and even some action and stuff. Like I love those kinds of movies. So.
Okay. Are there any films you absolutely won't watch?
There's films that I won't watch again, but are there films that I don't know if there's films that I won't watch. I feel like if somebody goes up to me and they tell me, "Do not watch this film," I definitely would. Like, I definitely would watch that just to see the reaction.
All right, so let me walk you through it. Would you? So you've already said you like to watch Marvel movies.
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of people who are Marvel fans will
Yeah.
not go to a DC-themed movie. All right, for example.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of horror flicks, so I won't go see a horror movie.
Oh yeah. I guess horror. I'm getting better. I have started watching more, especially like the TV shows like what was it? I think it was HBO, I think, was doing something with Nancy Drew.
Okay.
And I was watching that with my family. So there's like some horror that I can do, but like that's a movie I wouldn't see in theaters. That's something I'd have to be in my house, comfortable environment,
Right.
with like friends or family. I couldn't watch that alone. But like I do watch some DC movies and stuff like that, but horror is definitely kind of where the line is. But I'm not going to completely say no to it. If somebody thinks like, oh, this is a really good movie, you have to watch it, I'll watch it.
Somebody recommends a foreign film to you, and you have to watch it with English subtitles. Are you in or out?
Oh, I'd watch it.
Yep.
I have watched, there's some shows that I've definitely watched with the subtitles. Sometimes it's a little annoying because like I think it's when they dub it and when they put, I don't know if that's the right term,
Yeah.
but when they put like English over, it kind of bothers me because it doesn't sync up.
Yeah.
Once I get over that, it's fine.
Okay. So, has Jack, who's in the booth today, has Jack made you watch all the things he's produced so far?
Mostly. He doesn't really like to watch himself, so. But, I mean, same.
So you came on board, and we made it very clear that we don't do filmmaking here,
Yeah.
but we mutually thought that it would probably be a pretty good way to get some experience.
Yeah.
Because, yes, I stood behind a camera. Yes, I pushed buttons on the switcher. I did all these different things. So, how's your experience been so far? And it's only
Pretty
been
good.
a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've really enjoyed it. It's also really refreshing to hear people say, like, if you have an idea, like, we'll help you get there. And, like, you know, if you want to take something and run with it, like, we'll help you. We're not going to stop you. And I think it's not always the easiest to find those kinds of places and those kinds of, like, people, especially, like, me being my age and stuff. Not everybody wants to take that chance. So, like, I have really enjoyed that kind of attitude and just, like, even, like, the technology and, like, the studio here and stuff, like, it's so much more than I ever would have been able to get my hands on. So that I've really liked.
Okay. That sounds like a good report card for us.
Yep.
Okay. So my guest in studio today has been Cadence Tucker. She's a junior at Grafton High School. She's currently volunteering here at Grafton Community Television. And we hope she continues to be successful and goes on to an amazing film career.